The 49ers survive a sloppy physical battle in Seattle, but is it really a statement win, or did both teams just expose their flaws in week one? Yes, welcome on into 32 Blueprint. I'm Christian Rao. Let's dig right into it. 17-13, the 49ers defeat the Seattle Seahawks. And this was a great game for the most part, but there was also quite a few flaws in this one. Brock Purdy in his roller coaster debut for the week one after getting that contract extension. Seattle's new looking offense. Christian McCaffrey gutting it out after being on injury alert throughout the week. And why this might tell us more about what these teams aren't than more what they actually are. So let's dig into that. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button right here on 32 Blueprint. We are going to dive into all 32 teams across the NFL, digging into content, not just reactions like this, but we are going to do that throughout there. So make sure you hit that button and like, comment, drop all your thoughts below. Look, the 49ers, they bounced back in this one, and it proved that the 6-11 season from last year might be an anomaly, right? It might be a flop. When we hear about Shanahan, sometimes he gets double-digit win seasons, sometimes he gets double-digit loss seasons, but usually after he gets two double-digit loss seasons in a row, he finds himself either in the Super Bowl or in the NFC Championship, and that's exactly where this season lies for that team. And, you know, when you look at the players that they brought in, with McCaffrey, with the extension of their core, with Brock Purdy and George Kittle and Warner, and of course bringing in some backups to fill the void, to hopefully help out Christian McCaffrey take off that load from like Brian Robinson Jr., excuse me, then I think it's a really good thing. But overall, they bounce back. And for Seattle, you know, with the second-year coach and Mike Macdonald, with a new quarterback in the system at Sam Darnold, trying to repeat what he did last year, being in the MVP conversation against Minnesota, new wide receiver room after trading away DK Metcalf, letting Tyler Lockett walk. They're still looking for rhythm. And what I will say right off the bat is that you are going to have to find that, because you're going to need that offense to shine a little bit more than it did in this one. There's some signs that this offense can be really good, and I think there are some signs that both these teams could easily be playoff teams right after watching them initially from the bat. But you can also tell that it's a week one, and it's the first time they are hitting against another team other than the same color as them. Of course, a divisional fire. You got to love that NFC West starting off in the season. Rivalry tension, hard hits. You saw those, right? You saw that there was definitely some bumps and some rivalries. Lenore for the Niners, obviously giving some interesting stuff with Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I think that's something you really have to look at for the future. They did that with Metcalf in the past as well. This wasn't just two NFC West teams trading punches, though. It was two flawed teams, in my opinion, praying their defense bailed them out. And that's kind of what happened for the most part. Seattle's defense was quite good for the majority of the game. There was just a few moments where they flawed, and you can really almost point at one person. Rick Woolen had a awful second half. He had one great play where he shut down the Niners to score a touchdown, caused them to have a field goal, really kept them in the game, to be completely honest. But then on one drive, he allows a deep pass to, I believe it was Ricky Pearsall, and then the touchdown pass at the end of the game to really take it over for the 49ers. And that was just two selfish plays, I think, is the deep balls. But I looked at, initially, he wanted to get the interception instead of the pass breakup. He was thinking more about stats maybe than the team. I'm not really quite sure, but it was definitely head scratching for sure. Overall, the key moments in this one, I mean, right from the get-go, for San Francisco, 95-yard opening drive, Purdy touchdown, the Kittle. I mean, that was super impressive to start off the drive on the offense for San Francisco. George Kittle only stays into this one for about 2 quarters. He leaves with a hamstring injury, but all 4 of his receptions come in that first drive, and he scores. He still makes an impact before he leaves this game. Ricky Pearsall, he broke out. I mean, the question marks behind San Francisco with the wide receivers. What's going to happen with moving on from Deebo Samuel, with the fact that you have players on the IR or the PUP list, whatever the case may be. Pearsall stepped up and shows that he could be a wide receiver one, over 100 yards receiving, had that 45-yard catch, as I mentioned just earlier, late in this game. And when they do bring back some of those other players, Brandon Ayuk being one of those, then you're in a really good spot. You're in a really good spot for San Francisco. It just depends on if Brock Purdy can truly be that guy. And hopefully the contract extension doesn't become one of those, I don't know, dare I say, Ryan Fitzpatrick contract extensions from the past when he got his extension with Buffalo. Kind of all fell apart for him after that happened. Hopefully Brock Purdy is not in that same situation. The defense created turnovers. That's a good thing for San Francisco. Rookie Marquise Siegel, recovery late in this one, a late fumble by him. He was a surprise rookie coming over from Kansas State, getting drafted in the late rounds, and shined. Was a starting safety in his rookie debut, and he finds a way to make an impact right away. So shout out to Marquise Siegel. For the Seahawks, though, some key moments for them. Charbonnet, touchdown after a 4th and goal defensive pass interference. Kind of got saved by the bell a little bit on that one for Seattle, but to get their first touchdown. The running game for Seattle just wasn't there. And you're hoping that Kenneth Walker would be kind of stepping up, and you'd hope that Kenneth Walker could make more of an impact, but it was Zach Charbonnet that did it. And it's not like he actually had a huge game either. He only had 12 carries for 47 yards in that touchdown. And then Kenneth Walker had 10 carries for 20 yards. Altogether, their entire rushing team had 26 carries for 84 yards. San Francisco did a very good job keeping the run intact. And for the flip side, Seattle did a good job on their defense doing the same thing to Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson. McCaffrey only had 22 carries for 69 yards, and Robinson had 33 carries, most of them coming in the second half, like the first drive in the second half. Brock Purdy, let's get to Brock Purdy actually just in a minute. I think the first one we got to continue on is talking about the Seahawks here. JSN was great. Getting that thought process behind if he can make that step up after losing Metcalf, after moving on from Lockett, kind of taking that next step role of can he be the next great Seattle Seahawk wide receiver? And I think he's proven that he definitely can. Sounds like there's good chemistry between him and Sam Darnold. You can see there's a good relationship early on the field because he's making plays. He's doing great plays. It seems like he's the number one target for Darnold. 124 yards. He did have a costly fumble late. That is something that, of course, a young player needs to fix and is something that, of course, didn't help win this football game. But overall, I really like JSN performance. The special teams swing was absolutely huge for both sides of the football here. I mean, Seattle had a blocked field goal and the missed chip shot that gave him hope as well. And that all just points on San Francisco 49ers, Jake Moody. I mean, initially he misses, I think, a 27-yard field goal. I think that's what it was. It was just dreadful. And then the next field goal, they get it blocked. It was just, it was hurtful. They kept the Seattle in the game. If Jake Moody doesn't look like the NFL's worst kicker for like a 10 minutes of gameplay, then this game isn't close at all. And San Francisco runs away with this and probably makes it look a lot better than 17-13. Brock Purdy finishes this game with 277 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, but he had 2 picks, and both of those picks were interesting, to say the least. I'd say more concerning than interesting. Good enough to win, got the stats good enough to win, but bad enough to worry, in my opinion. Those 2 interceptions, both of them were thrown in the coverage. Both of them were thrown when he didn't have to make a play, didn't have to do that. One was a back foot throw. I think his first interception was a back foot throw. The other one was a easily throw into triple coverage. And it just wasn't a needed throw to happen. Those 2 are plays I'm sure he'd wish he gets back when he watches the film, and they have to move forward when he gets to week 2 and beyond. You can't let that happen. He got lucky that San Francisco came away with this win after throwing those 2 turnovers, those 2 tough turnovers. I talked about McCaffrey only getting a couple rushing yards, but he stepped up big time on the receiving end. He was Purdy's favorite receiver other than Pearsall. 9 catches. He did have 22 carries in the backfield. He had 9 receptions as well. Overall had 142 yards all purpose. And that's exactly what you're looking for a guy like Christian McCaffrey, who you were heading into Sunday's game and not sure if you were going to play. And he got an MRI, came back clean, and he was a full go. And the injury concerns that we heard about at the beginning of this week and throughout the week heading into game week, that the fact that he might not go was, of course, concerning, because what have happened over the last couple seasons with his injury concerns. And when he is healthy, he's one of the most dynamic players in all of football. And we got to see that again in this one. Wasn't exactly what you want to see in the rushing numbers, but he still made up for it in the game and made a huge impact, 142 total yards. I mean, playing hurt, obviously, if he got a clean MRI and they're still giving MRIs, you know that CMC is not 100%, but if he's playing hurt, but he's still elite, 142 all-purpose yards. Ricky Pearsall, breakout. I mean, second-year pro, wide receiver 1. I mean, is that what we're going to get from him? Is that his ceiling where we just saw in week 1? I think so. I really do. I'm excited to see what Ricky Pearsall can do moving forward in the next couple weeks. Sam Darnold, only 150 yards. He did let up a fumble towards the end of the game that ended it for Seattle. Bounced off the lineman, got pushed into him. I don't really want to consider it his fault. He's the quarterback, though, so you kind of have to hang it on your shoulders. But with 150 yards, it's a safe but uninspiring debut for him in Seattle. And when you're going from Geno Smith to him, of course, there's a lot of things riding on Darnold because he did get paid a decent amount for the years that he's going to be there. What he did last year in Minnesota with the MVP run. So I do think that he's got to make a bigger step up. And I think that all comes into play with getting that running game a little bit going, JSN getting a better relationship with him just a tad bit more and getting some of those other wide receivers involved as well. Like Cooper Kupp only had 15 yards on 2 receptions. So far, it feels like a misfit. And you want to love the idea because he's a Washington native, went to college in the area as well. And you want to love this fit for him in Seattle. But so far, it doesn't look like the best fit for him at the moment. Of course, it's just one game, but Seattle didn't lose this game because of Sam Darnold either. I want to put that out there. That's not the reason they lost, but they're never winning anything big because of him either. If he plays like this uninspiring football with only 150 passing yards, you got to get a lot more from that, especially with a head coach like Mike Macdonald, who's known to have better offenses than that. Overall, 49ers defense looked refreshed under Saleh. I mean, coming back as a defensive coordinator, the passing game shows life, even without Debo, even without a juke. Special teams is a legit liability. There's no doubt about that. That's got to get fixed pronto. And Shanahan addressed it immediately in his presser. The Seahawks, they're talented, and I do think they can be a playoff team, but this is the team built around, yesterday's names right now. At the moment, that is the narrative that you have to go into it until they can figure it out. Cooper Kupp, Sam Darnold, trying to make it feel like it's 2018, 2019 all over again. You got to do that right now. Leonard Williams doesn't get enough love. I want to make sure that's brought out. Leonard Williams, what he did last season and what he's already stepping up to do in this one, found plenty of plays to shut down CMC in the backfield, caused ruckus. That interior defensive line for Seattle, I think, is going to be really good. I would have came up on this show today and said almost everything good about Seattle's defense until those two costly plays from Reek Woolen that kind of put a sour taste in my mouth about it. Overall, we look at this division, the NFC West takeaway here. I think both teams do look playoff caliber but neither look like Super Bowl contenders in week 1. I think there is a tier there. If you want to put Super Bowl contenders as tier 1 and playoff contenders in tier 2, I think these guys are solid tier 2 teams at the moment. They got to find a way to step up to get to that tier 1. I mean, fringe tier 2, talking about possibility of winning division or being a wild card spot. They're not clear-cut contenders at the moment, but I do like what I've seen overall from both these teams. This wasn't a clash of contenders, Super Bowl contenders at the moment, but if these two teams are fighting not to look like pretenders, well, they did a good job in that. So Seahawks lose this one, the 49ers 17-13. San Francisco got the win. Seattle does show some flashes, but if this is the ceiling for both teams, which I don't think it is, but if it is, the NFC is going to probably be looking elsewhere for some real title threats this season. So drop your takes in the comments. I want to hear what you think about this game, Seattle and San Francisco. It's always fun watching division rivals start the season, week 1 against each other, and especially in the NFC West. I always like these matchups. So I want to hear your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. And thanks for listening to the 32 Blueprint.